August 9th, 2025. The calm waters off Odessa hit a storm of steel and ambition. Beneath the waves, 12 Russian submarines crept forward in radio silence. Each was over 400 feet long, displacing more than 7,000 tons together, worth nearly $5 billion. But this wasn't a missile strike. Each submarine carried 50 Spetsnaz naval infantrymen, 600 of Russia's most elite soldiers armed with suppressed rifles, grenade launchers, and night vision. Their mission was to land undetected, overrun a Ukrainian base, and seize it before dawn without firing a single cruise missile. Moscow called it flawless. In reality, it was suicide. At 0540, the submarines surfaced in shallow water. Inflatable boats hit the surf, black shapes racing for the coast. Within 90 seconds, Russian boots sank into Ukrainian soil. They believed themselves invisible. They were wrong. Encircling the base was an $85 million American-supplied sensor belt, a kilometer-wide web of seismic and motion detectors tied into a radar array. It could detect a human moving slower than half a foot per second. Within moments, the first Russian squad tripped the net. A faint blip on a screen became a flashing alarm. Operators didn't panic. The base commander simply said, "Hold positions. Prepare the trap." Ukrainian defenders melted into trenches and camouflaged nests. UAVs no larger than backpacks circled above feeding images every 5 seconds. Armored BTR-4Es maneuvered quietly into flanking positions, their crews loading RPGs and machine guns. Snipers checked thermal scopes. Machine gunners adjusted fields of fire. The kill zone took shape, a V-shaped ambush, designed to funnel the invaders into a slaughterhouse. The Russians kept moving, unaware every step was tracked. At 0548, the commander gave the order, Phase 1. Fire. 6 Gatling guns unleashed hell, spitting 6,000 rounds per minute. The opening 10 seconds shredded the center of the Russian formation, forcing them into the open. That was the trap. From both flanks, Ukrainian rifles, machine guns, and mortars erupted. Within 2 minutes, 120 Spetsnaz lay dead, 1/5 of the entire force gone before sunrise. Snipers cut down those scrambling for cover. UAV feeds highlighted muzzle flashes, directing mortar fire with deadly precision. Every Russian move was answered in seconds. Desperation gripped the attackers. Squads formed defensive circles, but mortars turned them into smoking craters. Others tried to retreat, only to find Ukrainian armored vehicles sealing the route back to the sea. By 0553, the elite Spetsnaz were pinned in a shrinking pocket, the predators now prey. The order rang out again, Phase 2. Seal the perimeter. Ukraine's invisible wall had closed. The trapped Russians sent frantic signals to their submarines offshore. Within 90 seconds, 6 subs prepared their last card, 56 caliber cruise missiles. Each carried a 100-pound warhead. Their orders saturate Ukrainian defenses, create chaos, and rescue the stranded soldiers. At 0556, the missiles launched streaking towards shore at Mach 0.8. But Ukraine was ready. The base bristled with NASAMS 3 air defenses, their radars capable of tracking 72 targets simultaneously. In less than 2 minutes, 16 interceptors tore into the first wave, detonating the rest in mid-air. By 0558, all 56 Russian missiles were destroyed. A 100% kill rate. Not a single explosion touched Ukrainian soil. The rescue attempt had failed. On land, Russian morale shattered. They were promised cover fire. Instead, their most powerful weapons had been erased in seconds. The commander didn't hesitate. Now we finish it. At 05:59, coastal batteries fired 10 RPK-300 Polos anti-submarine missiles. Each released a homing torpedo into the depths. Minutes later, massive detonations rolled through the Black Sea. 5 Russian submarines worth $2 billion combined were torn apart underwater, sinking in twisted wreckage. The remaining subs fled at full speed, abandoning their troops on shore. For the 600 Spetsnaz, there would be no rescue. By 06:02, Ukrainian armor closed the last escape routes. UAVs dropped low, scanning survivors and feeding GPS coordinates to precision mortars. Every Russian regrouping attempt was obliterated within seconds. Casualties mounted. By 06:05, more than 180 were confirmed dead, another 250 wounded. Fewer than 170 soldiers remained combat effective, and their ammunition was nearly gone. Radios crackled with despair. No extraction. Low ammo. Request last stand. The commander refused to waste men in close combat. He initiated Operation Silent Net. Loudspeakers boomed across the battlefield in Russian. "You are surrounded. Surrender now." UAVs dropped small thermobaric charges not to kill, but to terrify. Infrared footage showed soldiers throwing down helmets, others waving makeshift white flags. At 06:11, the first group of 23 Russians emerged, hands raised. By 06:18, the surrender was total. All 600 Russian Spetsnaz men who trained to fight to the death laid down arms. Each was scanned, tagged, and marched into holding areas. The battlefield was secure. Ukraine's casualties, 4 lightly wounded. In just 38 minutes, Russia's billion-dollar gamble had ended in humiliation. What Moscow envisioned as a silent victory had become one of its worst defeats of the war. The lessons were brutal. 5 submarines destroyed, every single soldier captured, every weapon seized. The Caliber missiles, once a terror of the battlefield, proved useless against layered defenses. The Spetsnaz, Russia's pride, were dismantled by sensors, drones, and precision firepower before they fired a decisive shot. Ukraine's invisible wall held firm. Russia's stealth meant nothing. In the modern battlefield, information and coordination are deadlier than any elite force. By sunrise, the southern waters off Odessa shimmered again, calm on the surface, a graveyard below. For Ukraine, it was victory through preparation, an $85 million sensor network, an air defense shield with perfect interception, seamless drone integration, and disciplined soldiers who knew how to wait for the kill. For Russia, it was humiliation. Submarines, sunk soldiers captured, and a plan that dissolved in less than an hour. And for the world, it was a warning. Stealth is no longer enough. In an age of sensors, AI and precision targeting, even the most elite warriors can be rendered powerless. If you stand with Ukraine's supporters by liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and sharing it so the truth cannot be buried. The battlefield has spoken, and August 9th, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day Russia's silent strike drowned in the deep.